Hey guys, where's up? Okay, so I was watching this video. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Khadija or Ada on Demand. But so she was basically talking about how like hey guys is like very gender specific, and I literally have done that in basically every video I've ever made. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to switch to hey everyone because it's very inclusive. I'm gonna try to do that in every video from now on. If I say hey guys, can you please correct me in the comments because I'm trying not to say that anymore. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy and I do video essays on the intersection between climate change and social justice. And today I'm going to be starting a new series because I love me a good series. Basically, this series idea that I have is making videos, basically biographies on like super rich people, like CEOs of like multinational corporations, and then talking about the impact of talking about the person themselves, the CEO, and also the company, because I think the CEOs do need to be held accountable for their own businesses. And I also just want to drag rich people basically. And then I'm also going to be talking about obviously the impact of the business itself. That's basically the gist. So I thought that I would start with Jeff Bezos because when I think of rich billionaires I'd like to punch in the face, his face kind of pops up first. So today we're going to be doing Jeff Bezos, but in the future I'm going to be doing like Tim Cook, Mark Zuckerberg, and Elon Musk, just like all of them. Just talking about their impact on the environment and the impact of their inventions or their businesses on the environment as well. So as always, I've kind of split up the video in a couple different sections because it just helps me. Honestly, it helps me with the video outline, but I think it's just also easier for the viewers to like understand like, oh, this, we're talking about this, next this, you know? It's like a what are those called? The table of contents. That's what that is. It's basically like a table of contents. First, we're going to be talking about Jeff Bezos himself, like his history, his background, and then I'm going to be talking about Amazon, like him founding Amazon and how he made it into like a successful corporation, and also the economic downsides to him creating Amazon. And then we're going to be going over the economic and environmental negatives of Amazon, touching on things like overconsumption, labor exploitation, and greenwashing. And then finally, I'm just going to give my own analysis of Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Please stick to the end because I have so many hot takes about billionaires and like economics and stuff like that. So I think this is going to be a really interesting video and you want to stay till the end. Okay, so did I turn off the microphone? So Jeff Bezos was born on January 12, 1964, which makes him a Capricorn. Even though he was born in Albuquerque, Mexico, he really early on moved to Miami, Florida. And of course, he is the founder and CEO of Amazon.com, which you already knew that if you clicked on this video. So his mom is Jacqueline Jorgensen, and his biological dad is Ted Jorgensen. But when he was about 4, his mom remarried to Mike Bezos, and I'm guessing that's where he gets his last name. I don't understand how your stepdad. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. That's a little bit about his backstory. He went to Princeton University and graduated in 1986 with a degree in chemical engineering and computer science. After some years of working on Wall Street, he quit that job, you know, like everyone is doing nowadays, is quitting their 9-to-5, and then he went and founded Amazon. Because why not? Originally, Amazon was literally just like an online bookstore, and it was actually very successful very quickly. I think just in a couple of months they were making a lot of money for, you know, just a couple of youngins. How old was he in 1994? I think he's 50 something now. So in 1994 he was probably in his 30s. So yeah. It was actually pretty successful pretty quickly, you know, he's kind of a genius. Not gonna lie, he is a pretty smart guy, but he is also a white man, so you know, privilege. So from what I read up on, he in person has a very like dry, bland, you know, uncooked, unseasoned chicken type personality. This is from like reading even people who work with him, and it kind of was funny to me because it kind of matches the description or the depiction of him from like memes and like online culture of thinking of him as like a lizard person or like he's not human, which, you know, he's clearly a human being. But I just think it's funny that even people who work with him or work for him also think that he's very strange and like doesn't have much of a personality and is very focused on work and on growth. Maybe that's what made him a billionaire, but yeah, I just thought that was really interesting that personality wise the people who work with him agree with the rest of us who see him and just don't think he's a human being. I just thought that was really interesting. So like I said, Amazon, founded in 1994, started out as an online bookstore, but as it became successful, it grew to a lot more. Everything from streaming to cloud computing to groceries. Amazon just kind of does everything nowadays. So here are some companies that Amazon owns that you might not know about. So they own Aime books, which is how I got super cheap textbooks in college. Did not know Amazon owned them. They also own Audible, IMDb, Twitch, the Washington Post, and Whole Foods. So literally such like a wide variety. And of course they also do like streaming services like Amazon Plus, Amazon Music. Is Alexa Amazon or is it something else? So you can kind of see how they kind of do everything. I think they were branching out into like medicine as well, like kind of like what? Why am I forgetting? CVS, kind of like CVS pharmacy. They wanted to do also some kind of pharmaceutical thing. I can't remember. I didn't like do research and see if they're still on that. Amazon is just out here just doing everything when it comes to like shopping and technology and stuff like that. They're kind of everywhere at the same time. So let's talk about that for a second. Amazon as a monopoly. So Amazon started out as like a cute little online bookstore, and slowly they've kind of morphed into like an online giant, kind of a Napoleon style takeover of the internet, and they've monopolized essentially. So what exactly is a monopoly? A monopoly is basically a company with outsized market share above 50%. If it's 100%, then that's like legit a monopoly. And I don't even know if the FEC, is it FEC? I think it's the FEC. I don't even know if they're allowed to let that happen, like for a company to get to 100% market share, unless literally no one else wants to build that kind of business. If a company has a monopoly over a sector or an industry, they're able to kind of break the laws of economics. They can provide goods or services at a higher price or at a lower quality without facing the same restrictions that there would be if there was healthy competition. So the number changed so much while I was doing research for this video, but Amazon holds about 50 to 80% market share when it comes to e-commerce, which is so much of like, just think about how many like online websites there are, and then think about like how much of a share they have, like 50 to 80%. That is a lot for how many like online stores there are. So I was gonna talk about like subsidies and the politics of Amazon. This video would have been like literally 3 hours if you allowed me to talk about that in this video, but I might make that into its own video. But there is some tea that I really wanted to spill that I thought was really funny when I was doing research, and I have to put it into this. Just kind of an overall analysis of Amazon and subsidies is that they've been able to get a lot of basically free money from the government for like putting their warehouses or different distribution sites in specific areas, which in my humble opinion, I don't think these multinational corporations should be getting any money from the government to be expanding. I don't care if they create jobs. If we're not able to provide free healthcare, we don't have money for hands out for billionaires. Like, it makes no sense to me. But here's the tea that I wanted to spill. So Bernie Sanders came out with this bill, I believe it was in 2016 or 2018, and here's what it was called. The bill is called Stop Bad Employers by Zeroing Subsidies. And if you like, the acronym is Stop Bezos, which is so funny to me that he would make a bill that literally just says Stop Bezos. But that's basically it. We should not be giving subsidies to these corporations because they don't need the money. It's insane that any like government would outbid for Amazon by literally just giving Amazon free money that they did not need. They were gonna build a warehouse anyways. Why would you give them free money to do so? Just so like you get it instead of another state. Like, I just think it's dumb, and it's giving so much power to the corporations that they already have so much power. Why would you give that to them? Like, please stop. So Amazon walked so that small businesses could run, and by run I mean run out of business. So basically Amazon was able to get to the like size and scope that they are today by trampling small businesses. Let's talk about that for a second. And before any like econ bros come at me with like the innovation or the invisible hand or market value, I don't know. So Amazon was not able to get to the size they are by innovating. They did so by literally cheating the system. I'm definitely not an econ expert, but I did do a whole semester as an economics major, so I think that qualifies me a little bit to talk about this. But here's kind of how Amazon was able to cheat the system and dominate the e-commerce space while simultaneously putting small businesses out of business. So I do have to put a disclaimer that Amazon is not entirely to blame because consumers value low prices and convenience, and Amazon was able to provide that. So we are kind of complicit in Amazon's shenanigans, but there's other things that they did outside of this to kind of dominate the business world online and in person. So Amazon was able to provide the same products you can get in a physical store online for cheaper, and they were also able to provide really fast shipping. That's kind of what got people onto Amazon. Plus, you could also shop in your pajamas at the beach, just basically anywhere, and boom, you got a new suitcase, you got a new camera. You could shop anywhere, which is really cool. But how was Amazon able to sell the exact same product for less money? If in-person businesses were selling the same products as Amazon, why is it cheaper on Amazon versus in a physical store? So there's a couple different components to it. Obviously, brick and mortar stores do have more of an overhead cost, but that's not the full picture. Amazon was able to sell products at a much cheaper price by artificially... I almost get so distracted when random people go to my neighbor's house. Anyways, I hope this microphone was the right setting this whole time. Amazon was able to sell the same product at a lower price by artificially lowering the price of their products below market value so that they could sell it to consumers. Then they would use the revenue from their cloud computing services to make up the difference. Allegedly. Please do not sue me. That is why Amazon literally didn't really profit, and it's because like Amazon, the store, wasn't really making much money, but the cloud computing was. And the reason the store wasn't making money was because the prices were below market value, because they could afford to do that because they were making money over here. Like, does that make sense? Like, actually diabolical. It's smart, very diabolical, and it caused, I don't want to say a specific number because I don't know, a lot of small businesses to go out of business because they can't compete with cheaper. Like, you just can't. That's how economics works. Like, people will buy whatever's cheapest unless they have some kind of emotional tie to a specific store or a person. They're just gonna go with whatever's cheaper. Amazon actually believes what they're doing is good, or it's okay, because they're giving small businesses the opportunity to compete with larger businesses online. But I don't see this. Like, I don't think Amazon is a charity, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he did not know that his actions in creating Amazon the way he did would have the domino effect that it did have on like local businesses. Honestly, now to think about it, he probably did. Like, it does seem really calculated. Even if you didn't know, we're here today, and I think it's really interesting that some of the articles that I read about like Amazon and small businesses are basically bringing up the whole idea that Amazon is giving small businesses a chance to sell their stuff online on Amazon, so therefore he's helping them. The reason I don't believe this was, like I mentioned before, Amazon is not a charity. They're not doing anything to help other businesses. They're doing everything to help themselves. The other reason is Amazon has allegedly been using the data from the sellers, i.e. their competitors at this point, because if Amazon does produce their own products, let's say for example that they sell tape, and then they see that there's some kind of seller that's selling a specific type of tape that's really cool and it's popping off in their algorithm or in their statistics, they see that this company's specific tape design is doing really well. Guess what Amazon's gonna do? They're gonna replicate it. So basically at this point they're using data from their competitors, because those competitors are using their own website. Like, do you see how like abusive this is? Like, Amazon basically breaking down small businesses, forcing those small businesses to sell on Amazon to compete with everyone else that's selling on Amazon, and then Amazon themselves using the data from their competitors, i.e. the people they put out of business, to make themselves money. Like, it's actually really smart, not gonna lie. Like, a lot of the things that I saw in terms of like Amazon's business model is like, it's genius. It's also very unethical and very unsustainable. So that's the thing with like Amazon and small businesses. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because I think there's too much, like, it's too much of a coinky-dink. Okay, so let's talk about Congress a little bit. You know, our favorites, very useless, very well paid for no reason. Congress. So they've been kind of trying to organize against these big tech giants. They're trying to like stick it to the man, even though they are the man basically. But Congress has been trying to break up all these monopolies and actually enforce antitrust laws. It's a bit late for that. but I'm glad they're actually trying. They're not doing a very good job though, but you know, it's Congress, what do you expect? In 2020, representatives from the House representatives from the House Judiciary Committee had a hearing where they talked to all these tech bros. They had a hearing where they talked to the CEOs of Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple. They basically talked to all these men, because of course it's all men, and basically tried to get to the bottom of all of these antitrust laws they're breaking. Of course Amazon was in there because, like I said earlier, they do have a monopoly specifically on the e-commerce space. They own 50 to 80% of market value, which is a lot. And Google, once again, monopoly. Apple, monopoly. These are all companies that have been accused of stifling competition, doing trickery to like win the markets. Basically, like, the response that these companies had was, oh, it's not our fault, we're so hot and popular. That was basically what they said. They're like, all of our products are free, so therefore we can't really have monopolies because people choose to use our products. It's not our fault that they do pick us over the other guys. I haven't really heard much like update on these hearings, but I thought it was interesting that Congress is actually trying to hold them accountable. I really think they should have started to do this a long time ago, but it's great that they're starting. Amazon was also sued by the Attorney General, saying that their business practices violate antitrust laws protecting consumers from monopolies. The only issue that I see, not issue, but the hard part of trying to sue Amazon for, or any of these companies for antitrust laws, is that usually with breaking a monopoly, you do it because they are selling goods at above market value. The thing with monopolies is that they end up increasing prices because they can. But the thing with Amazon and Google and all these companies, like I mentioned earlier, their products are free, or in terms of Amazon, they're actually cheaper than the alternative. So it makes it hard to sue for antitrust because they're not increasing prices. The only other like thing you could say is lower quality, but Amazon sells literally like basically the same things you would get, like the same brands even you would get at a regular store at a cheaper price, so you can't even sue them for that. Like, Amazon is in a position where it's hard to sue them for being a monopoly because they're not acting like a regular monopoly. Like, they are a monopoly, but the regular kind of consequences of monopoly have not shown up yet with Amazon. Also, it's not even that it's hard, but I think that's what took Congress so long to take action, because they weren't seeing any negatives with Amazon being a monopoly, so they were just like, we're gonna pretend like we don't see it. And look where that got us. Okay, environmental impact. Why do I keep pressing that button? In terms of the environmental impact, it's very hard to calculate the environmental impact of Amazon. I read this article that was basically talking about how it's hard to tell whether or not Amazon as a whole is more or less sustainable than regular stores, because like, if Amazon wasn't there, who's to say that another solution wouldn't have been brought about? That's not where I'm coming out with the angle of like Amazon and sustainability. I'm not comparing it to like small businesses. But Amazon itself, I think we can still critique Amazon as its own individual company, whether or not it is or is not sustainable. The issue with calculating Amazon's sustainability is that it's basically a marketplace. It's kind of like a farmer's market. Organizers of the farmer's market, like, they didn't make the food themselves. They're basically just like organizing a space for farmers to come and sell their goods, versus like a regular grocery store where the people that own the grocery store pick the food to be in the, like, does that make sense? I hope, let me know if that makes sense. But Amazon, like, they do have their own products that they sell, like Amazon Basics. I'm pretty sure they have like this isn't duct tape. Pretty sure they have like masking tape that Amazon sells, but they also sell tons of other random brands of tape. If you wanted to become an Amazon, I know you've seen those commercials asking you to become an Amazon dropshipper. You've seen them. No one escaped those. I don't see them much anymore, but you see those videos of people asking you to become an Amazon seller because of how much money you could be making. All you have to do is buy really cheap inventory on Alibaba and then repackage it and sell it on Amazon. That's basically what Amazon has become. It's a marketplace for people to be able to sell goods. And what this means is calculating the sustainability of Amazon, I believe, has to include all of the sellers, because Amazon, at the end of the day, they're the ones providing the space for the people to sell the products. If they did not want unsustainable things on there, they could like ban those things from being sold. If they wanted to stop selling fast fashion, they could do it in an instant and then only sell sustainable clothing. I'd say Earth Hero, if you've never heard of them, I have an affiliate link down below if you want to check them out. But Earth Hero is a sustainable Amazon, I'd say, because they are a similar thing where you can buy from different brands and they have like different like categories of things. It's basically like Amazon, but everything on there is basically tested and like pre-approved to make sure it is sustainable or as sustainable as it can be for the product you're getting. So you know if you're shopping on Earth Hero that you're shopping sustainable. If Amazon wanted to, they could do that so easily, and with like 2-day shipping and with the power that Amazon has, that would have such a great environmental impact. It would also stop all of this drop shipping and stuff. So I think that would be a great move for Amazon. They're just not going to do that because they're going to probably lose a lot of business from doing that, or at least initially. So if Amazon wanted to, they could become a sustainable store. From now, from what I see it, with all the drop shipping, with all of the inventory and stuff that they don't physically make, but they basically facilitate, that's where like the unsustainability of it comes. And I'm going to touch on that in a little bit. But first, I want to just do this quick intermission of good things that Amazon is doing, because this video is probably super negative, but I did want to highlight some of the good, because there are some, just a little bit. So first is expanding electric vehicles. I'm a huge fan of EVs. I actually interned for a company in Minneapolis that one of their biggest things, or at least the part of the organization that I worked with, was on electric vehicles. So I think EVs are great for the future, and I think it's great that Amazon is expanding use of EVs in their in their facilities or in how they ship things. So I think that's pretty great. I do believe they're also working towards carbon neutral by 2030 or 44, 20 something 4. They do have a lot of ambitious goals, and I think that's super cool. That's kind of where the coolness stops. So I have a couple issues with Amazon's sustainability initiatives, because this might be a hot take, but I believe at the end of the day that Amazon, as it currently stands with its current business model, cannot be sustainable no matter how much like they package things more neatly, no matter how many electric vehicles they have. At the end of the day, they're still contributing so much to this like super consumerist culture that I don't see them being a sustainable solution at all. Amazon itself is successful because of how much stuff they sell. So even if they have really sustainable packaging, like plastic free even, and they package everything really nicely, they sell so much stuff that it's still going to be a lot of packaging. And they sell so much stuff that even electric vehicles that are driving their stuff around, they still have an impact, and they're still gonna need a lot of electric vehicles to get the job done. So that's why I don't think Amazon at its current state, with how much stuff they sell every day, I don't think Amazon can be sustainable. Even though they're working towards being carbon neutral, I don't believe carbon neutral is impact free. If you're carbon neutral, it just means that you offset the carbon that you emitted. You could still be spewing millions, billions of metric tons of CO2 into the air and then plant a bunch of trees, and you're carbon neutral, but you still made such a huge impact. And it's almost like kicking the can down the road of being like, I'm going to do something unsustainable but also do something sustainable, and it cancels out. Like, I don't think it cancels out. Your first step should be to try to minimize the amount of impact you're putting out, try to minimize the amount of waste you're putting out before trying to offset it. And I do see this a lot, where I think I talk about this in my video on greenwashing, but a lot of companies nowadays are using carbon neutral or carbon offsetting as a way to make it okay that they're emitting so much. Airline industries are like they're doing this a lot, and I don't see anything wrong with it if you do need to travel, but I do see an issue with airline companies. You can offset your carbon and you're more sustainable. Yes, it's great to offset your carbon, but our first choice should be to not fly, to choose something else, instead of just being like, oh, I'm gonna fly and then I'll offset it, and it's the same thing as walking. It's not, well, I guess if you're flying somewhere, you probably cannot walk there, but you get what I mean. Carbon offsetting does not completely erase the damage that you're doing when you're emitting carbon or doing like anything polluting. Like, it really does not. You still made that impact. I do not believe that Amazon can be sustainable. I just don't. As a top seller of goods, Amazon cannot and will not be sustainable, because an economy built on the consumption, the overconsumption of goods, will by default engage in social and environmental exploitation to keep costs low. Do I need to say it louder for the ones in the back? So that's why I think Amazon can't be sustainable, because if they continue the business model of sell as much as we can, they're gonna continue to engage in environmental exploitation and also exploitation of workers, which we're gonna touch on in a little bit. But I just don't think Amazon can be sustainable. It's antithetical to capitalism, and Amazon is like top tier. Is it E tier? I forget what tier ranking is, but it's that top tier of capitalism, i.e. the worst kind. So Amazon can't be sustainable, but that does not mean that they don't try to look sustainable. Let's look at some of the greenwashing happening over at Amazon HQ. This is just some of the examples from the sustainability reports and also some articles that I read. One of them is very juicy, so let's get into like the greenwashing. So in 2019, and also I think again in 2020, Amazon put out a sustainability report, which is basically a report that outlines the social, economic, and environmental, basically social responsibility and environmental responsibility that Amazon is engaged in. It touched on some of their goals, what they're doing to be more sustainable, and just all of that good stuff. So you can read the report, I linked it down below, but I'm just gonna summarize it for you. It's just a bunch of beautiful imagery, some flowery language, and like really vague solutions to really ambitious goals. I remember reading the 2019 one. I read some of the 2021, but it felt very similar to me, where it's just a lot of greenwashing. I don't know if it's just because I was studying sustainability at the time. Well, I have a minor in sustainability if you didn't know. Maybe that's why, but like when I was doing a project on it in college, I was just reading the whole thing and I was like, this is so much cap. Like, this is a hat store that I did not like Amazon's sustainability report. And for context, we read some other sustainability reports and I think Amazon's was the most beautiful. It was so cute. So many pictures, like the graphics are nice. It was like a group project thing. But what me and my partner realized was that it looked beautiful, so that if you were reading the report, you would get this like feeling of like, oh, this is so nice, well put together, very sustainable. There's like minimal to no data. It's just a lot of pictures and them saying what happened, but they don't actually give you the numbers or like the statistics, and we didn't see a lot of data or statistics. It was a lot of just like saying stuff with no science backing it up. So that was Amazon's sustainability report. I'm gonna read the 2021 so I can compare them and see if it's different from the 2019. I don't think there would be much of a difference, but if there is, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, it was just very, like, you can read it if you want, but I just basically summarized it for you. But the whole thing with the sustainability report is that Amazon's talking about how they're trying to be a more eco-conscious brand, and I touched on earlier some of the good things they're doing, but they're still investing in fossil fuels. And they have cloud computing, which this is something that I just learned recently, but how much energy it takes to back up data. For some reason, I just thought it was just magically in the air somewhere, but all of that information, all of your stuff online, that has to be stored somewhere. And if you're watching a Netflix show, that whole operation is like running stuff, like it's all like science stuff that I don't understand. But they have cloud computing, which takes up so much energy, and yet they're talking about, oh, we're using electric vehicles, we're gonna put solar panels on our roofs, and then they're not talking about their fossil fuel investments. Makes me mad. So another form of greenwashing that I saw in Amazon's sustainability report is really ambitious goals or all these plans with like zero follow-through. So one example is the environmental fund that I believe was announced like fall of last year or December of last year, and I looked it up again, and lo and behold, they have not sent out the money yet. I think they said like who they're giving it to. I had to really dig for it because a lot of the top articles, when you look up like Amazon Earth Fund or Amazon Sustainability Fund, is just the initial articles from when he announced it. So he got all this clout from something that he hasn't even like followed through on. Like, if he wanted to cancel it, maybe a couple people would talk about it, but I don't think it would get the same coverage. So he could get his 100 million back. Or I can't remember how much it was. Was it $1 billion? It's changed to him, so it doesn't matter. That's one of the things with greenwashing in Amazon, is they'll have all these ambitious goals and then they won't actually follow through on them. And then another kind of form of greenwashing is in the sustainability report, how they put that they're gonna reach carbon neutrality by like 2040, which I mentioned earlier. The thing is, they don't mention that that's only Amazon and like Amazon created products. Anything that is a third-party seller does not count. So like if you buy something from Amazon from a third party, that does not count in Amazon's environmental like calculations apparently, even though you bought it on Amazon. I just think that's so crazy because I don't remember the specific number. I don't even know if I looked it up. I'm gonna put it on the screen if I can, but like I'm pretty sure most of what Amazon sells is third-party stuff, because that's like specifically what's going to be the cheapest. And when you go on Amazon, you're looking for the cheapest. I just think it's insane that Amazon is trying to reach carbon neutrality, but not also inputting the carbon emitted by the products that they're selling on their own website. It makes no sense to me. Like, the least they could do is mention that, but in the sustainability report, I think it just says like tier 1 and tier 2 manufacturing, and that's something I had to learn in my class. I didn't know what that meant. I'm not a business major. I still don't really know what that means. From what I recall in this class I took 2 years ago, there's like different tiers when it comes to like business management. Tier 1 is like inner company workings. Tier 2 is like directly produced from that company. Tier 3 is like third-party manufacturers. I think there's like a tier 4 that's like raw materials or something. I don't remember. But Amazon is only counting Amazon itself, so like the offices, stuff like that, and then Amazon basics, basically products that Amazon directly makes. Anything else does not, they don't count it as their own. They do, however, count their own shipping. So like Amazon is like a distributor and fulfillment, they have like fulfillment centers. They do count that in like their packaging and like shipping waste and stuff, but they don't count the products that they don't personally make in their carbon emissions, which is insane. I think it's getting dark. The sun is setting. It's like 6:30. I was gonna film this tomorrow, but then I was like, I have so much motivation to do it today, so let's just do it today. And now I have like 2 sections left and it's about to go dark. Before we talk about the social impact of Amazon, I just need to spill some tea. Also kind of relating to greenwashing. This whole situation really made me question the sincerity of Amazon's sustainability efforts, and I was not tricked. Like, from the beginning I was like, Amazon doesn't actually care about sustainability, this is greenwashing, but this really solidified it for me. So basically, Amazon was donating, I believe this was 22, I always forget the years for things when I make videos. I'm gonna put it on the screen. I think it was 2019, but Amazon donated to like a think tank. They donated to CEI, which is a think tank very widely known for being anti-climate science. And then when people asked Amazon like, why did you donate to that company, the representatives were basically like, Amazon has some shared values with CEI. Us donating to them does not mean that we co-sign all of their values or something like that, which is bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're donating thousands of dollars to an organization, you have to co-sign what they're known for. Like, that's just facts. Like, that'd be like dating someone who's racist and being like, oh, they have so many other great qualities, but this person is known for being racist and you're okay with that. You're dating them, so you co-sign the racism. I just thought it was so crazy that Amazon was like, oh, we're trying to be sustainable, and then they're donating to anti-climate science think tanks. Make it make sense. So now let's talk about the social impact. I really wish that I could spend more time on this section in this video, but I am currently working on a video, part 2 of my environmental racism video, where in the second part I'm basically mostly focusing on the international scene and kind of talking about capitalism and its impact on people around the world. That video is coming out whenever I'm done with it. It's very stressful because there's so many things I want to present in that video. I want it to be very well done, almost like a documentary, which means that I'm way too stressed to even work on it. So it's been almost not a year, it's been like 6 months of that video. That will come out when it comes out. But for the main part, I want to touch on a couple of things related to Amazon, social responsibility, and worker exploitation, which, you know, they were on the news for a lot for good reason, because it's actually infuriating. So first, something positive again. $15 minimum wage. The reason I really wanted to bring this up was because I watched this video while doing research for this video. Ooh, Inception. And it kind of infuriated me. Now, not gonna lie, $15 minimum wage at Amazon, you know what? That's not bad. I think it's great that they have a $15 minimum wage. I think more people, more companies, i.e. every company in America should have $15 minimum wage. Or actually, let's do I think it's like $26 would be the minimum wage if it actually kept up with inflation. Let's do that for a change. But in all seriousness, I do think it's commendable that Amazon has a $15 minimum wage. Does that mean we praise them for it? No, because it's like the bar is literally below poverty, so having a $15 minimum wage is good. You don't get brownie points for it though. Now, to the negatives because I am a negative Nancy. Oh, before that though, the other like positive thing that I'm so mean. The other like thing that Jeff Bezos does is philanthropy. I'm currently working on a video about like rich people philanthropy and how I think it's insane that they'll literally make billions off of the backs of working class people, give them pennies, and then ask for a thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna thank you for doing wage theft and then giving me pennies back. Absolutely not. That being said, it's great that they do donate money sometimes. So now to the negatives, which there are a lot. Amazon has a couple strikes on their blackboard when it comes to employee treatment and also their overall impact on humanity. So I kind of touched on this earlier, but let's just talk about Amazon's contribution to overconsumption and how it's become okay. In fact, like people joke about like having Amazon addiction. I've watched some YouTubers before, like I had to stop watching like the super over-consumeristic YouTubers because it's just like kind of tickles me a little bit, not in a good way, in a bad way. There's some YouTubers who are like, yeah, I get like a package a day from Amazon, like I can't stop shopping there. And it's just like crazy that this is normalized in our society to shop so much, and Amazon is contributing to it. And the fact that everything is so cheap, you get 2-day shipping, free shipping. Can we talk a little bit about free shipping orders over blank? I just think it's insane. Not insane, it makes sense because it's capitalism, but companies will charge you like, I don't know, let's say shipping is worth $10, and then like as soon as you spend like $100 with them, they're like, oh yeah, shipping is free now. When I was younger and I was shopping on Amazon, I would add to my cart to get it to like $50 so I could get free shipping, not realizing that's why they put free shipping, because now you're giving them more money and you basically paid for the shipping through buying more things that you did not need. Like I just think that's so it's genius, but it's really sad at the same time. But there's also some mistreatment of employees, which I would be remiss to not talk about. And I put a list, so I'm just gonna read off the list because I'm actually very tired. So here are a couple of the mistreatment of employees, overall generally things that Amazon has done. Being pressured to overwork, pooping in bags, bad management, unsafe working conditions, wage theft, and then refusing the right to organize. These and a lot more kind of contribute to Amazon having a really low retention rate, which means a lot of people work at Amazon for just a few months and then quit because it's just not worth it for them. Even though the pay is $15 minimum, it's just not worth it for their mental and physical abilities. This is something that is similar to a lot of meat packing. Both my parents work in the meat, or my mom used to work there. She had to quit because it was just too physically exhausting. She moved to a different company that actually treats their employees like workers. But my dad still works for Smithfield, which is a meat packing company. Their minimum I think is like 17, and right now they have like $1,000 hire on bonus, $19 an hour minimum. They're trying to get people to work for them by like having these like higher minimum wages and stuff and bonuses. But as soon as you start working for them, you realize why people quit, and it's because the work is not worth it. You're going to kill your physical body for this company just to like make some extra money. Like it makes no sense. So that's why companies like Amazon have really low retention rates, and it's because the work is not worth it for the price. Even if you're giving someone $15 an hour minimum, if they're going to like be depressed from all of the bad management, and then they also have to poop in bags because they don't have enough breaks, like the bag is not worth it at that point. So that's why companies like Amazon have low retention, and it's because the work is not worth it for the price. Okay, so we made it to the end. I feel like I'm so blue because it's dark outside and I'm gonna have to edit this video. But we're at the end of the video, so hopefully if you watch this long, you don't care that I look like a smurf. I just wanted to touch on my own opinions. I did write a couple things down. Okay. So my opinions on billionaires, because Jeff Bezos, I believe, is the richest or second richest man. Even if he's the second richest, still got a lot of money. My personal opinion, billionaires should not exist. Period. Like, just they can't. Or they can in our system, but in a system with zero environmental or labor exploitation, you would not have billionaires. Like, it's physically impossible to make that much money without doing so at the expense of others, if that makes any sense. If you can point to me to a billionaire who physically worked the number of hours that reflect how much money they made, then I'll eat my words. But for now, I am convinced that the only way that you can make that much money is by exploiting others. And this can be through either like your own actual business is exploiting other people, or you make enough money to be able to invest in companies that exploit other people. And obviously with like Amazon, the exploitation comes in the manufacturing of the goods in third world countries, and these goods are made with child or slave labor with really bad working conditions, and companies like Amazon justify it because they don't personally have to see that kind of exploitation going on. And like I've mentioned a lot of times in this video, Amazon is not a store, they are a marketplace. I don't think Amazon thinks they have agency over their sellers. That's a bad way to phrase it. I don't think Amazon takes responsibility for their sellers, basically. I think they believe that the environmental impact of their sellers is the sellers and not their own, but I disagree because at the end of the day, Amazon is the one providing the space for the sellers to sell their stuff. So Amazon is in that transaction, and therefore they deserve some of the blame. And I really wish I could talk more on this subject, but I'm so traumatized by looking at myself in the blue finder. Now I just call it a blue finder because I'm so blue. We're just gonna end this video here. That was it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much to my patrons for helping me make amazing content. Next week, I'm doing a video on how we scapegoat poor people in the environmental movement and how it needs to stop. So if you wanna be here for that, subscribe. Like I said, that's it for today's video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.